behind you there. Yeah. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Buenas noches a todos. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Welcome to our community forum, so we can inform people what exactly might be built here in our city of Joliet. My name is Angel Contreras. I'm just a person that is concerned about this. I'm just a person that's concerned about my community. I have no special title, no anything. I'm just involved, and hopefully after this, the majority of you will like to get involved as well. I'll be one of the moderators here today. The other one here, Maria Silvia Rosas, she's going to be helping out as well. We'll let her introduce herself.
Buenas noches, good night, good evening.
Am I going to be in your way if I just put this right here to stand? So to
Welcome to Mount Carmel Social Hall in the heart of the east side of Joliet. Kind of short here. And we want to thank Mount Carmel Church for hosting this event. Gracias a Monte Carmelo por hospedarnos. Give yourself a hand of applause for taking time to attend this event. Dese un aplauso. Por atender este evento. Mi nombre es María Araceli Rosas. My name is María Araceli Rosas, along with Ángel Contreras. I am a long-time resident of the city of Joliet, and I love this thriving community. Estoy muy encariñada con esta comunidad vibrante y estoy muy orgullosa de mis raíces. I am very proud of my community, a very vibrant, and very proud of my roots. Hemos hecho muchos sacrificios. Con Pulso he tenido un pequeño negocio y el sacrificio de todos aquellos que también trabajan por llegar a trabajar y tener un sueño trabajando día a día. There has been many sacrifices to have a small business, going to work day by day. Quiero decirles que ustedes hacen la diferencia. No por llegar a este país con un sueño, pero por hacerlo realidad. Y estamos aquí y aquí nos vamos a estar. You are here today for a reason. Because you have a concern against this project. Pero hay personas a favor, and there's also people that are in favor of it. We are here to educate the community, our community. Estamos aquí para educar la comunidad, nuestra comunidad. En este tema tan serio y devastador. As you know, the city of Joliet wants to build a for-profit immigrant prison here in Joliet. Como ustedes se han dado cuenta, la ciudad de Joliet quiere edificar una prisión de detención de migrantes con fines de lucro, for profit. Es algo que debemos de poner mucha atención. It's something that we have to pay close attention. Because it will change our lives, the way we live, the way we work, the way we educate, and even a way of thinking. And now, I would like to present, y ahora me gustaría presentar al sacerdote José Cilia, de aquí de Monte Carmelo. Vamos a darle un aplauso.
Dios nuestro Padre, el Padre de Abraham, de Isaac y de Jacob. God, our Father, the Father of Abraham, Isaac and Jacob. Usted, tú también, has visto que el rey Herodes quería matar al niño Jesús. God our Father, you have seen in your wisdom that King Herod wanted to kill the baby Jesus. Y entonces ordenaste al ángel para avisar a José al llevar a María y Jesús el niño a Egipto. You have seen that the king wanted to kill the baby Jesus, and so you have sent an angel who told Joseph, go, take the baby and his mother to Egypt. El Señor es el dueño de todas las naciones. No hay fronteras para Dios. The Lord is the owner of all the lands and countries in the whole world. But he sent his son to Egypt, and he stayed there for years. Without documents, Joseph, Mary, and Jesus went to Egypt. María, José y el niño han ido a Egipto. No tenían documentos y ahí han estado por mucho tiempo, años, según nos dice el Evangelio. Y por eso queremos pedirte ayudar a estos hermanos nuestros. And we ask you, Lord, to help these brothers and sisters of ours and encourage them not to be afraid. Te pedimos humildemente, Señor, da a estos hermanos nuestros, hombres y mujeres, la ayuda y el ánimo para seguir adelante. La razón y el por qué nosotros estamos en este lugar es que ninguno de nosotros es un papel y todos tenemos el derecho a ser tratados como seres humanos. All of us know that we are not papers. We have our human dignity, our rights. We have eyes to see the needs that have to be done. We have hands to work. We have feet to go from one place to another. Nosotros tenemos ojos para ver lo que hay que hacer. Tenemos manos para trabajar. Tenemos pies para ir de un lugar a otro. You can see this wonderful and beautiful hall, helped with so many undocumented who don't even know to read or speak English. But look at the work done, thanks to them and to their efforts, and free. ustedes pueden admirar de este salón. Y viendo como muchos que trabajaron acá gratuitamente, sin recibir ningún sueldo, pero ellos ayudaron y hicieron todo lo posible, muchos de ellos sin saber inglés y sin saber escribir o leer. We all have the right and the dignity as human beings. In the Bible, if we listen to the Lord, He says that we are His temple, and be careful not to destroy my temple, the body. El Señor nos dice en la Sagrada Escritura que Él nos hizo su templo, el templo de Dios, la persona. Ten cuidado de no destruir mi templo. Nosotros, las personas, no necesitamos cárceles. Es suficiente que muchos de nosotros ya están en prisión dentro de sí mismos, sin poder hablar, sin poder manejar, nerviosos y tensos, donde vayan. We see so many people, we don't need a prison, because many people feel that they are already in prison, full of fear. They cannot drive, they have no documents, and wherever they go, they are with tension and depressed and looking from one place to another. Who is going after them? We do not need prisons. If they want to spend money, let them spend the money in other things. Nosotros no necesitamos cárcel, lo que necesitamos es fuentes de trabajo. Muchas gracias.
Un aplauso. Let's give him a big hand of applause. Thank you, Madam Cecilia.
Les puedo pedir a todas las personas que si hay una silla a su lado que esté vacía, que levanten la mano, por favor. Y las personas que están atrás, que no están sentadas, pueden venir a sentarse, y hay sillas a este lado también, por favor, pasen.
Thank you. Pásele por favor a tomar asiento. Gracias. Please have a seat. We want to thank the people that are here, our dignitaries from Joliet. Quiero darle las gracias a los dignatarios de Joliet, al señor Tom Tanas, el manager de la ciudad de Joliet, Mr. Tanas, el city manager of Joliet. Pastor Craig Purchase, Mount Zion Tabernacle Church, el pastor Pastor Craig Purchase, de Mount Zion Tabernacle. Father Raymond Letcher, pastor of Sacred Heart Church, el padre Raymond Letcher, de la Iglesia Sagrado Corazón. El padre José Cilia, de Monte Carmelo. Los miembros de la ciudad de Joliet, our city council members, please stand. And introduce yourself. Can we have any council members? Mr. Bob Waterford and Mr. Larry Hunt. Thank you. Father Fred Redke, pastor from St. John the Baptist Church. El Padre Fred Redke, de la Iglesia Juan Bautista. Father Pete Jankowski from St. Pat's. El Padre Pedro Jankowski, de la Iglesia de San Patricio. Father Ray Corkery from Our Lady of Mount Carmel. Sorry about that, Pastor Kirk Brooks Jr. from St. John's Missionary Church. County Board Member, el miembro del Concilio. Gracias.
All right, next, I want to thank the Diocese of Joliet. They drafted a letter for support against this for-profit detention center. So I want to bring up the representative that's going to talk a little about that. Tom Garland, please come up here. Let's give him a round of applause.
Good evening, everybody. Let me begin with the scripture verse. Genesis 1:27. And God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. This scripture verse lets us know that we are created in the image of God. Each of us. Young or old, rich or poor, brown, black, or white, documented or undocumented. Because we are created in the image of God, every human being has a certain dignity which we must all seek to protect from any and every threat. The threat to human dignity we face this evening is the proposed for-profit immigrant prison in Joliet. As early as 2000, the U.S. bishops expressed concern about the rise of for-profit prisons. Allow me to read from their statement in small part. The bishops write, "We are concerned about the rise in for-profit private prisons because previous attempts to introduce the profit motive into prisons have failed to respect the fundamental human dignity of every person. We recognize the fundamental human dignity of prisoners and are troubled by the documented level of violence against prisoners in private prisons. Prisoners are persons with inherent God-given dignity. When prisoners become units for which profit is derived, there is a tendency to see them as commodities rather than as children of God. Our troubled times have taught us that once people are dehumanized, they are more liable to be exploited, abused, and violated. We recognize the inherent dignity of labor and are troubled by the working conditions and wages of those entrusted with the care of prisoners in private facilities. In order to reduce costs and maximize profits, private prisons redistribute their operational costs, with less money going to those employees who work directly with prisoners and more to executives and shareholders. We bishops do not agree that paying private prison staff lower wages than public employees receive or cutting their numbers advances the common good or just treatment of prisoners. We note that some state and local governments have canceled private prison contracts because of insufficient staff and management. We are even more deeply troubled that the private prison industry has actively supported institutions that lobby for harsher sentencing laws and punitive immigration laws, which increase the prison populations. We believe that private prisons confront us with serious moral issues, demanding a gospel response. To deprive other persons of their freedom, to restrict them from contact with other human beings, to force them against them up to and including, to use force upon them up to and including deadly force, are the most serious of acts. To delegate such acts to institutions whose success depends on the amount of profit they generate is to invite abuse and to abdicate our responsibility to care for our sisters and brothers. Since it appears that private prisons are not consistent with the need for our prisons to respect the human dignity of each and every person, we call for an end to all for-profit private prisons. The trend towards more and more people being held in private prisons should be reversed immediately. We call on all levels of government to refuse to sign new contracts or to renew expiring ones with private prison corporations. Now this evening I would tell you that we are opposed not only to for-profit prisons in general, but to this immigrant prison in particular. We go further and call for an end to our present system of deportation. Several scripture verses. And you shall not oppress a stranger, since you yourself know the feelings of a stranger, for you also were strangers in the land of Egypt. Exodus 23, verse 9. God executes justice for the orphan and the widows, and shows his love for the alien by giving him food and clothing. So show your love for the alien, for you were alien in the land of Egypt. Deuteronomy chapter 10. And finally, a verse that all of us know, you shall love your neighbor as yourself, in the Gospel of Mark. I would say, therefore, from this, that the detention and deportation policy of ICE divides families, often separating individuals from spouses and children who are U.S. citizens. The division of families through detention and deportation places more of our citizens at risk, increases the number in poverty, and even forces many children, many of these U.S. citizens, into foster care. What we need is comprehensive and compassionate immigration reform. A moratorium on detention and deportation until such policy can be developed. Presently, U.S. citizens and legal permanent residents must endure many years of separation from close family members who they want to join them in the United States. The backlog of available visas for family members results in waits of 5, 10, 15, and more years of waiting for a visa to become available. This system is cruel and inhumane and only increases the number who live in the shadows, not wanting to endure the separation of loved ones. We call for a reduction of the pending backlog and more visas available for family reunification purposes. Until such action can be taken, detention and deportation serve only to inflict punishment and harm on families who are contributing to the economic and social well-being of our communities. The city of Joliet should not participate in unjust, unproductive, economically harmful policies by allowing the building of an ICE detention center.
Thank you to the taxes in Joliet, and Mr. Tom Carlos for those beautiful words, inspiring words. Thank you. Before I present our next speaker, we just want to play a brief 2-minute video of exactly what these for-profit detention centers, how they work, how they're organized, real quick. Antes que presente la próxima persona, más quiero introducir un video, es 2 minutos, es muy corto y breve, que explica un poco cómo trabajan estas cárceles privadas. De un momento, por favor.
The detention of migrants is a multi-billion-dollar industry.
One in which immigrants are traded like products.
There are forced sales of highly considered
Benefits and profits. Corrections Corporation of America, or CCA, the GEO Group, and the Management and Training Corporation combined own over 200 facilities in the nation.
with over 150,000 bed spaces for a total profit of close to $5 billion per year.
Private prisons profit like a hotel. The more occupants that go in, the more money comes out. You just sell it like you're selling cars, or real estate, or hamburgers.
Private prisons rely on anti-immigrant laws that guarantee them access to fresh immigrants.
Here's how they do it. The American Legislative Exchange Council, or ALEC, is an extreme right-wing membership organization comprised of state legislators and powerful multinational corporations, including the Corrections Corporation of America.
ALEC is the most active private prison lobbyist group pushing for anti-immigrant laws like Arizona's SB 1070.
Russell Pierce, like CCA, is an ALEC member, one with obscure ties to national white separatist neo-Nazi groups. During an ALEC meeting, CCA and Pierce crafted a model legislation that became, almost word for word, Arizona's SB 1070.
Whether people are undocumented or not doesn't matter.
As long as they fill the detention facilities for days, months, or even years.
SB 1070 and their copycat laws sprouting up across the country represent the perfect money machine.
That's exactly what we're trying to prevent here. I know some people say CCA stuff like won't influence policy, but they can. That's what they do. That's how they make money. That's how for-profit detention centers, whether it's an immigrant prison or just regular federal prison, it doesn't matter. For-profit detention centers operate in that way, and that's what we're trying to avoid. Next, I want to present our next speaker from ICRR, the Illinois Coalition of Immigrant and Refugee Rights, Jesse Oy.
Thank you for coming. Gracias por venir. This is something that our organization and member organizations across the country have been fighting. And the conversation has been changing. We see that they make a lot of money. Esas compañías hacen mucho dinero cuando encarcen estas personas. What we've been working on is fighting these detention centers. The Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights and its allies, communities across Illinois, prevented a private detention center, this same company, CCA, from building a detention center in Crete, Illinois. They're trying to do the same thing here in Joliet. I'd like to see how many people here know somebody who, if they're undocumented and could be placed in this detention center. How many people know somebody? We've seen since 2009 there was a federal program enacted called Secure Communities. This was actually enacted by Obama's administration. And this program specifically links local county sheriffs, local police departments with ICE. That means if you're picked up, and it could be you're picked up rolling past a stop sign, and the police have a reason to believe that you're undocumented, they can hold you legally for 48 hours. Within those 48 hours, ICE can come and put you in detention and eventually deportation. Since 2009, in Illinois alone, at least 56,000 parents have been deported in Illinois alone since 2009. What does that mean? That means that 80,000 children have lost at least one parent to deportation in Illinois. What does that mean for Joliet? It means that we're going to see, it doesn't mean that local police are going to be picking up more and more people. But what it means is that not only across these different counties, not only across Illinois, but in other states, we're going to see an increase in deportations. When they build a jail like this, what do you think they have to do once they actually build it? They've got to fill it. They've got to fill it. They've got a quota they've got to meet. What does that mean? That means it's going to pay a price on our families. It means that it's our communities that are going to see a negative effect. We're going to hear in just a couple minutes from the leaders in Crete who fought with us on this. Crete, for those of you who don't know, is majority white. They don't really have any Latinos in their community. But they fought on principle because one, it's a bad thing to fight, and two, because they knew of the economic downturn that it would mean for their city. ICRR and its allies have been fighting companies like this for a long time, and it's because we know that there's not just one reason, not just two reasons, not just three reasons that they try and build these detention centers here. So what we're here tonight is to kind of explain some of these numbers and also explain the personal testimonies of why it's important not to build a detention center here. Para que ustedes que solo hablan español, empezaron un programa en 2009. En 2009 empezaron a deportar 400,000 personas cada año de los Estados Unidos. Entonces hay compañías y cárceles como esta que están apareciendo por toda la nación porque necesitan detener y deportar toda esa gente. Pero las cosas están cambiando. Things are changing. What we're seeing on a national level is more of a need for comprehensive immigration reform. Obama actually enacted DACA. Do people know what DACA is? It's similar to what the DREAM Act would do. It doesn't provide a pathway to citizenship, but it actually provides students the ability to get a temporary social security number, get a driver's license, and a work permit. We're seeing this change across the country. Here in the state of Illinois, we're very close to winning driver's licenses for undocumented immigrants. Aquí en Illinois estamos bien cerca de ganar licencias para la gente indocumentada aquí en Illinois. In January, en enero, el Cámara de Representantes van a votar para las licencias para la gente indocumentada. What this means that they're going to have a lot less people to deport. It's going to be a lot harder for them to fill a detention center like this. And the reason is because now through DACA, we've got undocumented students who can actually not get deported now. We've got folks who are majority picked up because of not having driver's licenses, are going to have a driver's license. So now what we're talking about building is something that won't actually get filled. Because on a national level, we're talking about comprehensive immigration reform, which 10 years ago wasn't even possible. So now we're talking about building a project that's supposed to bring jobs, that is promising high-paying jobs to folks when we know that, one, they're going to have trouble filling it, and now we're working with a company that doesn't have a history of working with unions, hiring union guards, and actually paying decent wages. So why should we think that it'd be any different here? Estamos aquí hablando de una compañía que tiene una historia de maltratar la gente que está detenida, los inmigrantes, y también cómo tratan la gente que están trabajando ahí. Ellos prometan que van a tener nuevos trabajos, que son trabajos que van a pagar bueno, pero sabemos, ellos tienen una historia de cómo tratan la gente? ¿Por qué van a hacer algo diferente aquí? We know that they're not going to do something different here. So why should we be tricked into something different? We've seen this happen across the country. So before I let the leaders from Crete come up to kind of share their fight in actually winning, preventing CCA from building in their town, this for-profit company, I'd like to share that they're talking about building jobs here in Joliet. But what is that at the cost of? On the state level, we actually came very close to passing a piece of legislation. We lost by one vote in the House. And this piece of legislation would have prevented any private company from building a detention center in Illinois. Already there's a law that prevents any type of private company from building a federal or state prison, but it doesn't include detentions. So we tried to include that. We lost by one vote. Nosotros luchamos para una ley y perdimos por un voto. Y esa ley cambiara, va a decir que ninguna compañía privada puede construir un centro de detención en Illinois. Pero perdimos por un voto. Pero eso no paró la gente en Crete de luchar contra el centro y ellos lo cumplieron. Dijo el CCA y dijo la ciudad, no vamos a construir el centro de detención aquí. Y tenemos que hacerlo mismo aquí. Es muy importante que hacemos lo mismo aquí. So when they're talking about actually building, actually bringing jobs here, it means that both Tri-County and Jefferson County, which rely heavily on ICE detainees, are going to have to shut down because they're no longer getting those detainees. They're all of a sudden going to be centralized in one place here. So while we're talking about bringing jobs here, it means that 2 other counties in Illinois are going to lose more jobs. So we're talking about how this is such a great thing for Joliet, not facing the fact that it's actually going to be destroying our families, not just here in Illinois, but in other states. But we're also going to be stealing jobs from other places in the state. So this is a company that has a history of playing people off of each other, and here we're entertaining the thought of actually bringing them here. I say no. Yo digo no a Crete. Yo digo no. Entonces, quiero introducir, I want to introduce 2 leaders from Crete who were unbelievable fighters. Los docentes, Sarah y Bernie, son luchadores bien bravos en Crete. Ellos estaban bien duros. Y aunque no hay latinos en Crete, ellos sabían que esto era una lucha que tenían que luchar. Y aquí están con nosotros, aunque ella no está en cárcel. Ellos no son ICE, la migra no. Pero querían representar que todos nosotros aquí estamos a luchar. Y ellos están con nosotros. Como ellos ganaron en Crete, van a ayudar a nosotros aquí en Joliet. As they fought in Crete, they're going to help us in Joliet. Like the many communities we had across Illinois fighting with us, they're going to be here with us to fight in Joliet.
Yes, we are. We stand with you.
Completely.
That's why we're here. You are not alone. We stand with you. And Bernie is going to tell you a little bit about the journey.
I'll give you a little bit of background. Good evening, everyone. Buenas noches a todos. We are with you. We are family with you is the way we feel. We're brothers and sisters with you. When we learned about the detention center that was going to be built in Crete, our reaction was shock, absolute shock, to be honest with you. So what we decided, we said, well, what are we going to do about this? What are we going to do about this type of project in a community like Crete, a small town of 8,000 people? The Crete political leaders, we had found out, had actually been negotiating with Correction Corporation of America, a company that has been already described to you with its type of tactics and its policies. The Crete political leaders had been negotiating with CCA for months. And we were lucky to find out about it. We had some very two very opportunistic people who helped us. One of them, I know for sure, is here. Sister Juanita, would you please stand? Sister Juanita is a Franciscan nun, and she is really the first person who told us about this. And Sister Lisa Puliga also, who I know is not here tonight. We have to take immediate action. We knew that. The residents of Crete, who had not even voted, got involved with us. And that was a real powerful thing that happened in Crete. How did we stop the detention center in Crete? First of all, we had a house meeting, and this was at Concetta Smart's house. About 30 or 40 of us met there, and we had to take action immediately. We went door to door with flyers, informational flyers about what was to happen. People were as surprised when they heard about it as we were when we heard about it. No one had, the political leaders hadn't told the community about it at all. Everyone's reaction was the same. They didn't want a detention center. Word spread like wildfire. Neighbors talked to neighbors, and that's what's going to have to be done here in Joliet. People came to the city council meetings. They packed the city council meetings, and they spoke up. They contacted all the politicians involved, particularly the leaders in Crete. They called them relentlessly, and they visited them relentlessly. They went to all of the council meetings. They did not take no for an answer when they had appointments scheduled. They phoned and they visited. The main focus was the Crete leaders, but we also contacted our congressman, who was very, very helpful. Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr., as a matter of fact. He was behind us all the way right from the beginning. Other politicians came on board much slowly. Illinois state representatives and state senators, I don't have to mention their names, but eventually they joined us in our fight. Thousands of people in a town like Crete of 8,000, thousands of people signed petitions. It was amazing. The residents knew the issue was bigger than Crete, but it would also affect Crete directly. We learned that people will get involved. Will you? Here in Joliet? So the reason why I'm here is to help stop a large injustice toward my brothers and sisters.